Hello there and welcome. My name's Robin.
And I'm Steven.
And today we are looking at the Samsung Galaxy Fold 3 and the Samsung Galaxy Flip 3.
You got it.
Yeah, so let's start off with specs. But I think first it is worth mentioning that we've both been using these phones for about a week now.
Yes.
Full time, these have been our daily drivers. And also these phones have been provided by Samsung.
That's right. Samsung Canada has provided these phones to us for evaluation purposes. They don't expect us to trade notes with them or tell them about this review when it posts. So all of our feelings, our thoughts, and everything like that are 100% authentic.
100%. So I think starting off with specs, it's worth mentioning these are flagship specs.
It's not a flagship phone from a specs perspective.
Yeah.
It's got a flagship processor. It's got the 888 5G chipset on board. The Flip has 8 gigabytes of RAM, up to 256 gigabytes of storage, and it's got 12 megapixel cameras. That's the only part of these two phones that's not quite the flagship area, but we'll get into that in a little while.
Yeah, it's similar with the Fold. Like we're running the same processor. It's a Snapdragon 888, same that was in the S21 Ultra, as well as an Adreno 660, again flagship graphics card. And mine is running 12 gigabytes of RAM, the Fold. But again, there's a lot more to run.
And this guy here, 2460 by 1080 resolution. That means that this particular display, if you have a 16 by 9 aspect ratio video like on YouTube, like on our channel, GetConnected.com, they will be looking a little bit, there's gonna be black bars on the left and the right hand side. So that's something to be aware of, but overall, great.
Yeah, like that didn't really detract from your experience watching videos or anything, really?
No, not at all. I just wish that the other screen on this particular display, the 1.9-inch display on the outside, would also play videos, because sometimes I just want to close this thing and kind of take a little bit of a look, but that's not a feature that it supports. But I can triage all of my displays. It is a full touch screen right here, 1.9 inches. It lets me close the main display to conserve battery. It also lets me take care of some notifications that don't require me to fully deploy the screen to get what I need. And it's 120 hertz adaptive, but you can lock it out for just a little bit more battery life if you wish. Beautiful display though.
Wow.
How about you?
Yeah, so mine is a 1768 by 2208. So it's a bit of an odd resolution, not particularly, I guess, familiar. But you'll see it's a full kind of 3x4 display. And again, like this is a beautiful panel. Like I am impressed watching videos, similarly to yourself. If you're watching just the YouTube videos in landscape mode, you get the black bars top and bottom. Same as like the old tube TVs, I suppose, but it didn't matter. I didn't find that affect me at all. Like, and again, similar as yours, I have the adaptive display, up to 120 hertz. I didn't change it. I just kept it to that because I just like the experience using it.
So you've got 3 times the amount of screens as I do.
Yes.
How do you find the screen for fingerprints?
It's rough.
It is.
I mean, look, I think you said it as well. That's kind of the experience when you have, like, this is a Gorilla Glass display, but there's a layer of plastic over it, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of just one of those things you have to live with now. If you have this, you'll see it does become quite a fingerprint matic on the front. On the back, not so much.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just regular glass here, so you can wipe that off. And it's that same oleophobic, is that right?
Yes, oleophobic.
Oleophobic coating on the back as well, which also, similar to the S21 Ultra, kind of just gets rid of fingerprints.
Yeah, and you also have 3 times the amount of cleaning that I need to do.
Yes, yeah. Intense cleaning on a screen this size.
Yeah, this thing is 6.7 inches here. Very easy to manage. I wear glasses, so I always have a cloth in my pocket.
Right.
So that makes it a little bit easier for me to deal with.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Beautiful display, nice vibrant colors. This thing, quite honestly, I can't even believe that it folds because of how good it is. The only thing that we both notice is the seam, which is still present.
Yes.
Do you have any issues with kind of scrolling over and having this disconnect in the experience?
You know, when it comes to actually touching it, I didn't have an issue. The only time I really noticed it was watching YouTube or videos or something in a dark room with one light. That is the only time where it really bugged me because it was just that one light source that really just made that seem evident. But
yeah.
Using it in the daytime, just scrolling through Twitter or anything, it really just disappears. Like I genuinely didn't notice it there.
Yeah, I found after a little while, it just wasn't an issue. I just really enjoyed using it.
Yeah, it's nice having that bigger real estate. And something that my display has that yours doesn't is the in-display camera.
That's neat.
It is kind of cool. Although it does have this, I guess, pixel grid effect when it's trying to be hidden. So it's very noticeable on certain screens.
Huh.
So for example, if it's just a white plain screen, like I'm on Twitter or something, it's noticeable.
Okay.
When it's on a more sort of busy kind of wallpaper like the one I have here, it definitely just disappears. And I haven't really noticed it being there.
So is it like taking a picture through a screen door effect?
Yeah. When it comes to like the actual picture quality through it, it does look like there's some kind of layer or film over it because, you know, it's shooting through pixels. So I did often refrain from using this camera because I also have, similarly, a camera on the front, and I can also use the main cameras, which I thought this was really cool. I can actually use the main cameras here and have my picture come up, or my preview come up with the camera to take selfies with these cameras.
That's incredible.
That's kind of cool, and I'm pretty
That's
sure
useful.
that's something similar enough that your camera can do as well, right?
It is. Well, when you flip it up, which your phone can't do, the Pinhole Camera is at the top over here. Now this is a regular style 10 megapixel selfie camera. It's not the most amazing on the planet, but I found that it was actually very clear, good quality, plenty for most selfie shots. But of course, the other way that you can take selfies on these cameras is with the front cameras, because on this particular device, the front cameras right there are two 12 megapixel units, one wide and one normal. And one of the nice things about having a active display, which is 1.9 inches on the back of this phone, is that you can actually take pictures with it. So you can actually have that set up, as you can see here.
Yeah. And when you take pictures with that, are they the same aspect or resolution as the normal ones?
They're more like a 4x5, 4x3, so they're more squarish.
Oh, really?
Right, so if I were to do this, it doesn't give me a full vertical photo. It'll still give me a square whether I do it this way or this way. The other thing that I really like about the camera is the fact that there's this mode where you turn it around.
Oh, it's a bit like a compact.
Yeah, it's like a compact, so you can actually have it. There's John over there helping us out today, and then there you are.
Oh, right.
So you can turn the camera around.
Yeah,
so I found the camera, even though they're not flagship cameras in this day and age, what you can do with it is more important. It's kind of like the GoPro.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's not a great video camera, but it does so much.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think our camera specs are pretty similar, bar the fact that you're missing the telephoto that I have. Mine is also 12 megapixels. It's the same Samsung kind of colors that we've seen in the past. So like, it looks good. Some of the reds, a little bit oversaturated, that kind of thing that we're used to. But overall, I actually really enjoyed using the full screen for taking pictures. And
That's big screen.
I know I looked like the dad at a concert holding his iPad up in the air. But it was a bit of a novelty to me to be able to use that full display and get the most out of it, you know?
Yes. They may not be flagship, but I love the results. And the results are what are the most important. And I found that, again, because they're Samsung colors, they're about 95% ready to go right to the gram or to your reel or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Unless you want to tweak them with Lightroom or something like that, I think they're sad.
I think they're all right. Like I literally took a photo there last Saturday with the camera and just posted it straight to Twitter. Okay, so let's talk about the actual experience we had using the phones and specifically maybe some of the software, not issues, but kind of idiosyncrasies some of these phones have.
Yeah, like they're folding phones, so they do things just a wee bit different, but I think that your phone has the most amount of toys when it comes to this.
Certainly, yeah. So my phone is, for one, it's different in yours in that the actual aspect ratio is a lot different. It's far closer to a tablet than it is a regular phone. Then, like that being said, I didn't find that I had any, say, tearing issues when it came to software performance. Mainly the thing is just the different ways that apps tended to scale themselves. So for example, with Twitter or Reddit, they just went full screen. They just stretched out, everything just kind of scaled up. If I scroll past a picture, it was just a full screen picture. It was the exact same experience of using Twitter or Reddit on my normal phone.
Okay.
Instagram was a little bit different. where it just mainly stuck to like the center of the screen and then just had a blue background for the rest. Which it was fine, like,
Yeah.
but you know, it didn't take full advantage, especially like if I want to see the big Instagram photos.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see them on this display rather than just having it scaled down. So I felt like that was a little bit of a cop out.
Okay.
But other than that, like YouTube was great. It was that's a little bit more optimized.
Yes.
Whereas like with YouTube, I could actually fold my display halfway in landscape and have the video just play here, and then have like the description and everything else down here.
Oh, nice.
So I thought that was kind of a nice feature. It also meant that like I could just lay my phone down when I was going to bed.
Yeah.
And I could just watch YouTube like that.
Or comment or troll on the video as needed,
Totally,
right?
yeah. And of course, all the Samsung apps are like fully actually optimized for this. So any of the Notes apps, you can take down notes here and have other things up there. You'll have a much better experience if you use more of the Samsung apps than you do with Google, say. But that being said, a lot of the apps are somewhat optimized for it.
My experience with YouTube, not as good as yours because this is obviously a smaller screen. So my
Yeah.
description might be at the bottom and I might be able to type comments and everything like that. Sometimes I will do that when you guys respond to our videos or comment. So I will use it that way, but the video up top, very tiny.
Yeah.
It's too small to really view. So
Right.
that's why I like kind of opening up the whole thing. And I often will use my phone this way, kind of slightly folded.
Oh, okay.
So then I can watch the entire video and it stands up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see.
But again, the seam issue is there, so I do see it. But after a little bit, I just ignore it. It's kind of like, I don't know, like one of those things where over time it doesn't bug you anymore, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's
you're
like
just so used to it.
It's like a new freckle or something.
Exactly, right? And of course, like you alluded there with the split screen and everything, this one has split screen as well too, but you're limited to two apps. You have one on the top, one on the bottom, and all the Samsung apps work, but if you want to force it, and I think this is a feature on your phone as well too, you go to Labs, you turn on the experimental feature to force all the apps to do that. Now you have the ability to make all apps kind of window up and take on a portion of your screen, which I thought was really cool. And because it's, you know, it's one of those features that they're developing in the lab side, I'm sure it's going to get way better over time.
Yeah, but I guess
Yeah.
it's worth mentioning that if you want to kind of force an app to do that, it might not perform.
There could be
ideally.
quirks, right?
Yeah.
I haven't come across anything like that so far. The main apps seem to all work, like the big social apps and everything like that, but I'm sure there's something out there that will have a hairy conniption.
Fair enough. Now, when you were using all your split screen modes, did you notice performance go down at all?
On this phone, it does have 8 gigabytes.
That's
Whoa, 640 kilobytes is plenty. No, 8 gigabytes of memory. I didn't notice that much of an issue here because, again, even Chromebooks run 8 gigabytes
Right.
of memory.
Yeah.
So I didn't see an issue. I know that with your phone, you've got more apps, the ability to do quad, and the 5th screen.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, mine does have more RAM. It has 12 gigabytes, but again, I can do more multitasking and things like that. So it kind of justifies having
Yeah.
more RAM. I didn't notice any sort of screen tearing or performance issues when I was doing things like
Yeah.
that. So it's nice, but that's kind of what you should expect
Yes.
from flagship specs like this. So it's nice to see that at least the software is there to back up the internals.
Oh, absolutely. It's very well optimized. And, you know, the experience with everything here, even on a flippy screen phone in its 3rd generation, pretty good. This phone in its 3rd generation has a 3,300 milliamp hour battery. Coincidentally, the 1st and the 2nd generation of this phone also had a 3,300 milliamp hour battery.
Okay, so not much of an improvement.
No improvement there, but it's gotten thinner, it's gotten lighter, and it's got full flagship today specifications with a 888 Qualcomm processor on board, right?
Yeah.
So that leads me to battery life.
Sure.
Now, to kind of set things up for you and to kind of go back to some of the things that I said about how I use the phone, I pound on this thing. The processor, I'm editing video on this, which most people do not do.
True, yeah.
That's just me and probably a few other creators out there. And I've got this thing pretty much on, digging away with your notifications on your comments on YouTube and also across TikTok. So I'm answering your questions, your comments, liking your comments, thumbing things up. It's on 24/7 for me, but I don't quite make it 24/7. It's actually about 10 hours of battery life under all that usage, which I think is pretty fair. Now, having said that though, my previous OnePlus phone, which was a OnePlus 7T, I could get to about 8 or 9 o'clock at night before having to charge it. So I lose about 3 hours roughly of battery life, but 10 hours on average is pretty good. I get that time back on the weekend because I'm not hammering it as much, but still, if you're buying this phone for battery life and if you're using it like I do, don't expect it to exceed 10 hours. But if you're using a lot less and you're using the front screen here, which is really fantastic for triaging your notifications, the smaller screen does suck up a lot less power, then you might actually exceed that 10 hours by quite a bit. And again, I've used this like my daily driver. I've punished it. I've connected all my things to it, all my Bluetooth devices, my smart home things. This is what I'm getting.
Also worth mentioning that is Bluetooth 5.2.
That's
You've
right.
got your ultra-wideband, Wi-Fi 6E.
Yeah.
I guess throw those in. Like those do, I think Wi-Fi 6E is better for battery life, I believe.
I think that's one of the specifications. Same with Bluetooth 5.2. In fact, one thing that I think we both noticed, and we commented on this off camera,
that's
is
right.
the fact that when you turn on Wi-Fi, when you connect to a network, we've never seen a device connect so quickly.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
almost instantaneous. Now we didn't have a 6E network to connect to, but all the Wi-Fi 5 stuff in the office and at home, just almost instantaneous.
Yeah, it was impressive. Like, because I use a Pixel 4a day to day, and I noticed just going to coffee shops and things like that. It's not like it takes forever.
Yeah.
But like, it always just takes a while for at least to see the Wi-Fi network pop up and scroll down to it. Actually, I use my camera as Wi-Fi built in, so I'm always connecting to that to transfer photos over. I always notice it takes maybe about 10 seconds for that to finally actually pop up. But with this, it was a lot quicker. Similarly with the Bluetooth actually, because I take a lot of Evos like rental cars, so I'm constantly reconnecting my Bluetooth to new cars to play music. And again, this was within like 2 seconds, I think it popped up, which, I mean, it's not going to save me a bunch of time, but it's just a really nice thing to have.
And I have like 25 tiles attached to all my children's stuff. My keys, everything, all my bags that I use on a frequent basis. And those just, when I turned on the app and everything like that, this works so much better. And it's just amazing how just, like, this is a tiny phone that flips, but it's got all the flagship stuff inside. It's just truly amazing how far and how Samsung has really made that just kind of this day-to-day kind of thing work so much better. And the fact that we need to comment on it means that they did something really right on both of these phones. So that's all about me, but what about your battery life?
My battery life, I think I had a bit of a better experience. This does have a bigger battery at 4,400 milliamp hours, which again makes sense. I'm running like twice or 3 times the amount of screen size as yours is, so it does need that bigger battery. But my battery kind of estimated to be around 17 to 20 hours a day.
Wow, that's good.
In the Samsung app,
Yeah.
in the settings. My experience was maybe a little bit less, well, a decent bit less. It definitely lasted all day. I plugged out at around 7:30 in the morning, and come 11 p.m. I'd have, I guess, around 15%, maybe 20%, depends how I've used it. That was during the week. I'm not quite as heavy a user as you. I maybe do like photo editing and stuff, but I wasn't processing videos. I did notice on the weekend, my battery drained a lot quicker. That's when I was like listening to music constantly. I was using maps a lot. I wasn't keeping it plugged in. And so I did find that I kind of ran out of battery maybe around 7 p.m. But I think, especially considering this is already a big phone,
It's massive.
like it's thin this way, but like in your pocket, like it's still a huge phone.
Yeah.
I think they could do with putting a bigger battery in here. And so let's, as our sort of last thing, talk about build quality, because I think it's kind of the elephant in the room with these devices, specifically mine, because mine came out first.
Yes.
All those years ago. And I do have some thoughts. So for one, I think this thing is built very well. I think this is definitely a step up from previous generations. I remember as we saw, it had the issues with the first gen, with the people tearing back the screen protector.
Which was actually the screen.
Yeah, exactly. It was missing those caps at the top of the screen, which meant a lot of dust and debris could get in.
Yeah.
On this phone here, you can kind of see it does have these caps at the front, but at the very top, it's pretty much flush.
Yeah, it's impressive what they've done there. Like,
Yeah,
it's a huge improvement.
It is a big improvement. Now, and also it's IPX8 water resistant.
Now, how did they do that?
Yeah, same as your phone.
My phone's IPX8. I can't even fathom how that's even possible.
Yeah. So that's seriously impressive. But obviously, the big thing about that is it's not dust resistant.
It's true. But how do they make it waterproof without making it dust resistant? I'm not that type of engineer, so maybe someone can chime down in the comments and let us know.
Yeah, figure that out. So that is, I guess, the one caveat to getting these phones is you will have to be more careful if you're taking to the beach, dusty things, if you're going on salt, like salt flats. You want to be careful because while these are definitely a step above the previous generations, there are still a lot of areas where dust and dirt and whatnot can get into these phones.
Yeah, there's still a lot of places where even at that angle, if you dropped it in water, it might be waterproof, but if you dropped it in sand,
if mud gets in it or something like that, that's kind of something you have to watch out for.
Yeah, like do you rinse it off and hope for the best?
I know, yeah. So after a week though of you using yours, have you felt that the hinge has sort of given in any way? Do you think anything has gotten in there?
You know what? Based on the Microsoft Launcher data, I flip this thing open about 48 times every 27 minutes on average.
Wow, that is scary data to have.
And based on that, the day that I picked up this phone and the day that today, it feels about the same.
Okay, that's similar to my experience.
Yeah, it feels about the same. Now long term, and I'll be able to tell you in a couple months here, but I don't know. Like honestly, I don't know. They did say that this hinge mechanism, just like in yours, is the hardest, most durable material that Samsung has ever created for a smartphone. It's also lightweight. So is that just all marketing speak, or is that a true thing? Will this stand up for at least the 2 years that I got my free Samsung Care for? And that's the other thing too, right?
That's another thing.
And I think that there's a similar offer in yours, but at least on my device, this device comes with 2 years of Samsung Care, which covers one screen replacement and then other ones at a deductible price. It's going to take care of my phone. It's going to do that for a full 2 years. And for a manufacturer to put that guarantee onto their device, they really have to believe in it.
That's true, but I think it's also important noting that if you are getting the devices, you kind of do need that. Because if you break the screen or chip or crack anything, you can't just take this down to your local phone shop.
No, because I'm thinking that there's probably some sciencey and engineering stuff that makes it waterproof. Maybe there's, I don't know, like slime inside that they need to remove. It's weird stuff, right?
But either way, if something happens, you're gonna have to take that to Samsung.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a DIY repair. At least I don't think so.
No. So I mean, it's great you got this as part of your deal with the phone for 2 years, right? And
Yes.
it's a 3-year contract. That's on now. 6 months down the line, we can't say if that same deal is going to apply.
Yeah.
So I guess actually as part of the final thoughts, that is something worth considering, is that this phone may cost, how much, $1,300?
$1,329 in Canada for T56, $1,259 if you get the 128 gigabyte version.
Well, that's right. And at the moment, you get that care. But in the future, that may be something you have to actually account for when you're pricing it out.
Yeah, if you're butterfingers with most things, you might want to get that anyway.
Yeah, and not only that, these phones are slippy.
They're very slippery. In fact, if you put it on some surfaces, this oleophobic coating makes it resistant to your finger oils, but it also slides off furniture.
Yeah, easily.
Chairs, and I discovered that on certain Qi charging pads when I was charging this thing, and speaking of charging, 10 watts for Qi charging, it slid off the pad. I put it on the pad, I came back and it was already off the pad. It was somewhere else. It was really strange.
Man. Because I had a similar kind of thing with this. My Qi charging pad, I was just using ones in the Evo and it was fine because it's kind of protected. But I did find I didn't want to take this out cycling because I was afraid it would just slip out of my pants.
Yeah.
It had a couple times, even just sitting down, this phone just slid right out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Actually, this morning I had my phone down charging. I had my Pixel on top of it I had my alarm going. And when my alarm went off, the Pixel just slid right off the phone.
Dear.
Yeah.
Dear.
So that's, I guess, look, if you're getting them, I'd strongly recommend getting a case. Not only because you want to protect your phone, but also it's going to reduce that slippiness by a lot.
Now, full disclosure, sorry, Samsung, I have dropped this thing. And I have to say that one of the weirdest drops that I've ever seen, because I was just practicing, the Captain Kirk flick, right? Obviously, as you do. And for some reason, I was a little bit enthusiastic and I flew it out of my hand. It hit the ground, but it actually bent. So it's like a crumple zone. So I think it saved itself.
That's one thing, I guess.
So,
but, I mean, it has Gorilla Glass Victus, so
yes.
It is that little bit stronger, but you can't rely on that.
No, but what you can rely on is the fact that this has a really silly parlor trick.
Goodness, yeah.
This, for some reason, this thing has magnets all over the place, and I think it has to do with the fact that it's really a good, solid closing mechanism. So when you put it on, and this gotta have some really powerful magnets. So as I was putting it on my nightstand one night, I discovered this, that it could pick up coins.
Wow.
So that's just weird.
Yeah, they don't put that on the box.
No, they don't put that on the box. So if you have a couch that devours coins, or if you've lost coins in the side of your vehicle, under the seat there, you can put this inside there. It's kind of a silly parlor trick, but if we didn't use these phones, we wouldn't know these things.
That's right. And it's waterproof as well, so you could go to the mall on weekends, go to the fountain, just fish out a load of coins.
That's true, because at 30 minutes of exposure underwater for 1.5 meters, you can get a lot of coins out of those fountains, right?
There you go, the phone pays for itself.
Precisely.
Okay. So speaking of which, I guess you've mentioned it, you have actually bought this phone yourself.
I have bought this phone.
So I assume that means you like it.
I like it enough to buy it, and I think that's one of the most important things. This phone is not all sorts of awesome.
It's worth mentioning, yours is $1329?
$1329 for the 256 model, which I highly recommend, because if you go for 128 gigabyte, you're only spending an extra $70 to get double the memory.
Yeah, and that's not far off the price of the actual S21 Ultra as well.
No, gosh, no. In fact, I believe it's the same price as the S21 Plus, and it's only a couple $100 more from the Ultra. So if you want something that has flagship everything, the Ultra's the one to get, but it's no Galaxy Z Flip 3.
Yeah, I mean, the Ultra is cool. Like, we reviewed it, you can check it out here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't flip.
No, it does not. It does not do this thing without throwing it out of my hands, right?
I'm getting worried now. It's going to fly off,
It's
nip me in the
fly
face.
right in the face.
Yeah, and
but what about you? Like, it's a $2,400 phone. Robin, if you didn't have your wallet, you had someone else's wallet, is it worth it? Is Dex worth it?
I know, yeah. That Dex really has me going. No, I think, to sum it up, it is an expensive phone. I think all the tech and all the specs and everything inside this phone justifies the price. Does that mean I'm gonna ever spend that much on a folding phone or recommend anyone spend that much on a folding phone? I really don't think so. I think if someone was looking to spend this much amount of money on anything, I'd say get the Flip and maybe get a tablet, if you want the bigger real estate.
Yeah.
It is a very fun phone to use. I've had a great time using it this past week, but for one, I don't think the screen is big enough to fully do all my creative work on it. I like sketching, I like taking notes, I like editing photos on a bigger screen, I use my iPad, and this still seems like a sort of a compromise size.
Yeah.
So, really, if I was in the realm of getting any sort of folding phone, any amount of money, I'd still go for yours. I'd spec it out and I'd get all the kind of cool accessories to go along with it. But I think out of these two phones, you have the winner.
Now, is there a price point that your phone needs to fall into? And let's not be ridiculous. Like, what's that magic price point that this phone needs to be at for people to just start buying it? I mean, $1,259, $1,329 for the 256. I mean, this is iPhone 12 territory, right? This
Exactly.
is S21 Ultra, S21 Plus territory, right?
Flagship territory.
But it's cool and you just want it. And some things are just like that. What would that price be for you?
I think for me, it would probably be somewhere within maybe 17 to 1,800 Canadian dollars. That's like priced above the S21 Ultra, which I think it should be.
Yeah.
But it's not out of this world kind of extraordinary price.
I could see that, and I could see these flying off the shelves if they hit the ground.
Yeah, for real. Honestly, I'd probably get one.
In fact, it's 1,000 US starting. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the magic price point, right?
I think so.
I think that's a really reasonable ask. So bottom line, third generation, third time's a hit.
I think so. Look, even though I wouldn't personally buy this, I think Samsung are finally at a point where this is a genuinely good product.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a prototype anymore. You know, the last previous generations, there was always some kind of thing, be it the specs, the cameras. There's something that just really didn't justify the price. I think Samsung are there with this now. I wish it had a bigger battery. I wish it was a lower price. But I think yours is the one to go for.
Okay, so you'll be getting one of these pretty soon after you see mine, right?
I think so. Hey, who knows? Maybe when we do the 6-month update, I'll have one too.
All right, so that's it from us on the Galaxy Z Flip 3 and also the Z Fold 3. Both are fantastic devices with their caveats. We've gone over most of them, but ultimately, what do you guys think? We've got a comment area down below that I will be triaging on this phone here with you guys and commenting directly on your questions and answering them for you. And of course, definitely subscribe. If you like what me and Robin are doing, what the team's doing, Mike and John, just let us know by giving us that subscription. We really appreciate that. And we're looking forward to giving you another awesome video. So, adios.
Adios.